Good evening, everyone. Had a little technical difficulties here. Still waiting for my guest to show up. I'm going to wait here a few minutes to see who comes in. Don't have anybody live yet, but we'll sit here for a couple minutes and see how things go. Still no guests are live yet. I hope everybody's having a good evening. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. Like I said, still waiting for some people to show up. I don't know who's actually in here. I see one person's here. I don't know who the one person is, but you could just type a comment. Let's see who's here. Once again, it's always a technical issue trying to get this to work. I'm going to have to find a different platform. For some reason, I see now why everybody always get this straight for some reason. I see why everybody always has problems with StreamYard. StreamYard doesn't seem to be a platform that doesn't work very well. I'm gonna have to find a different way to go, and I don't know how it's gonna go. All right, everybody that's texting me right now, including my wife, I am live. I don't know why you're texting me. You know I'm live. I've told you I'm live, and I told you when I was going to go live. But I've had three people text me since I went live, asking if I'm live. Well, guess what? I'm live. I'm here. Not trying to be difficult or anything, but it's very difficult to go back and text people and tell them I'm live when I'm on here. But anyway, that's besides the point. I don't think a lot of people figure that out. Hey, OTR Vic, good to see you, bud. I hope things are working out good. I see another person went live just now too. Does a lot of lives. Looks like we got four people in here. Still waiting on you, Life on 18 Wheels, so we can have a show. If you want to join, I've sent you the link. Life on 18 Wheels. I can't make things any easier than what I did. So you got the link. Join it. Who else we got on here besides OTR Vic? I know OTR Vic. I know you go to the Contractors Corners quite a bit and a couple other lives. I see you on there all the time talking. Anybody has any questions, just post anything up there. I'll answer them. If not, this might be a quick video like last week. Nobody wants to come in and join. I don't know if it's technical problems or they just are scared about going on live. I don't know. Starting to get a little discouraged with this platform. I don't know what's going on with it. Now, down to two people live now. Bear with me here a second. I'm going to try and send this again. Bear with me, guys. I want to make sure he has it. Sorry, I popped off for a second. I had to give that link to him again. All right, he just, again, like everybody, texted me, said he's going to be a few minutes. I don't know why it is so difficult, but whatever. If anybody knows me, man, I'm all about trying to do the best that I can and be as perfect as I can, and it just frustrates me when things don't work out or somebody doesn't show up on time or something. I'm very prompt about everything. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes here, and then we're going to get on with the show, with whatever show we do have. I got four people watching live. Been on for 4 minutes and 44 seconds. Hello, baby girl. It's my wife, Nicole. She's everything in the world to me. Yes, I'm talking crap about you, Life on 18 Wheels, because you're late, as always. You're going to be late to your own funeral. Come on. We got some questions. Now we got 5 people on. Who we got on here? I don't know if I can see who's on here or not. Anybody got any questions about anything? Now's the time to ask them. Questions about my week, questions about my day, anything? Yeah, I know I'm being mean. I'm trying to smile. This is actually kind of fun and entertaining to me, even though I seem like I'm mean. I get frustrated when things don't come out very quickly. Anybody that knows me, I try to make things work the best as I can. I got to tell you guys, this is very confusing to do this with 2 devices. I don't know how guys go on live with 2 devices. I've got my tablet here and I've got my phone, but it's easier just to read the comments off of the screen. Jacob, did you buy that headset with all that money you're making at JB Hunt? Well, actually, Jacob, since you're the funny man, I've had this headset for 3 years. It's probably the best headset that I've ever bought. It was one of the things that I bought, believe it or not, with my Love's points back during COVID years when I was driving for FedEx. I've had it ever since. So no, I didn't buy it with my money that I'm making at JB Hunt. Me and you always talk numbers going back and forth. And honestly, Jacob's going to be on the show too. I tried to get him to come on at the last minute tonight, but he was too busy. I was going to try and do a roundtable with the 3 guys. So I'm willing to do anything with anybody that wants to come on. OTR Vic says you should do a live with Trucker Todd. Trucker Todd has been invited. His problem is he works during the week, and it's hard for him to come on until after 9 or 10 o'clock at night Central Time. So you do the math, and that makes it 10 or 11 o'clock on Eastern Time. I don't know too many people that will be going live at that time, but he is on the books and he's planned. But someday I'll get him on. I don't know what you just said there, Jacob. Use. What am I using? So it's already a success. I've got 10 people on here now that I didn't have last week. And more than half people are guests and not friends. So we'll see how it goes. Talk about what GPS you use. Well, there is no other GPS but a Garmin. I don't know why anybody would have a Rand McNally. I had a Rand McNally for about 3 minutes and turned it right back in because it is very difficult to use. Now, Life on 18 Wheels says he'll be here in 3 minutes. He said that 5 minutes ago too. He said he'd be here in 5 minutes. So we'll see how things go. We have been live now for 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Been an interesting day today. I haven't really had too much to do. I drove from central Illinois down to Searcy, Arkansas, dropped that load off, and from there went to Jonesboro, Arkansas, to pick up the next load, and basically came close to running out of time. Stopped for a little bit, got a little bit of a nap, so my sleep's going to be kind of broken up tonight. Uh, got a couple hours earlier, and now I'm doing the live, and I'm going to get a couple more hours, and I'll be rolling out about 1:30, 2 in the morning now. So that's my plans. Been a pretty decent week so far. Nothing to complain about. Last week was really good. I did a short video. Believe it or not, I did a video Sunday night, and I've already got over 1,000 views. It's probably even closer to 2,000 now, which really honestly surprised me because it's real weird. And anybody that does YouTube, it's hard figuring out how the algorithms work and what people want to hear and what people don't want to hear. But they wanted to hear, I guess, my 1 month review of JB Hunt because it took a lot of views, which really surprised me. So I'm going to try and put more content out. I think the content that's pre-recorded does better than the lives. So OTR Vic says, have you had any issues with the International? You know what? Everybody always talks trash about the International, but let me tell you, this International is a solid truck. It's funny that you asked. I haven't had any problems. The only problem that I really did have was when I would hit bumps kind of weird, like the potholes, because everybody that drives the streets nowadays know what kind of shape our roads are in, and they're always behind on roads. Well, every time I would hit a pothole, the truck would make a loud thud. Ever since I've had it brand new, I couldn't figure out what it was. I thought maybe the hood latches need to be readjusted or something like that from the factory. So I took it, went and had the oil changed, and just out of curiosity, I told the mechanic, I said, "Do me a favor. I'm usually, I look, but I can't look underneath. Look at the shocks." And he did, and believe it or not, the shock on the passenger side, the bolt wasn't secure, completely, which, that it left the factory that way. I mean, maybe it's bad on me for not doing a proper pre-trip, but it's hard to see on the inside of the frame where the shock mounts, to see that. The shock's fine. It just needed to be tightened up. As soon as he fixed that, guess what? That just took care of all the problems. But other than that, that's the only problem that I had. Wife says she loves my blue eyes. Yes, baby. I know you love my blue eyes, and I appreciate it as always. Jacob says, text yellow grad. Must be a YouTube link that he has. I'm trying to read. I'll have to check that out later, Jacob. I don't know what that is. But the International itself is it's a good truck. It does have the Cummins. I do love the Cummins. That was the reason why I took the truck. Um, but anybody who knows, I'm always been kind of a Volvo guy. I would have taken a Volvo with SFI if they would have continued buying the Volvos. But when I tried to get this truck, they weren't carrying new Volvos any longer, and I didn't want to get a truck that was used. I wanted something new. Well, now I just found out that they're not ordering any more International. So the one that I have is probably going to be one of the last ones that they have. So that's where I'm at with that. Caesar Gonzalez, what's going on? Is this week slower at JB Hunt or just me? Holiday maybe. Caesar, it's kind of hard to really tell. I'd already had these loads booked earlier, actually almost from last week. So the loads that I have, I've had booked for over a week. Knock on plastic, wood, whatever I have, but nothing's canceled on me or anything. And honestly, the load that I'm on now, I've already picked up and it delivers on Friday, so I should be okay through the holiday. The load board's very slim. I did look at it for a little bit. There's not a whole lot on there. The difference between the load board here and Schneider, you had a lot to choose from. The problem was they just weren't paying. JB Hunt's loads, they pay quite a bit more than what Schneider's does, but there's not as many to choose from. That's my comparison between the two load boards. Just checking out questions here. But yeah, I think Caesar, honestly, I think the holiday has a lot to do with it. When I was at Swift and other companies, we always had that issue, go home for the holidays, because if you don't, you're going to be out sitting. And, I do agree with that to a sense. And you do sit a lot when you don't have loads planned ahead of time. It's very difficult. But, thankfully, we have the load board to where we can pick stuff up and try to keep ourselves busy. OTR Vic says, wow, so only Freightliners for SFI. Well, I found out that right now only Freightliners, but they're probably going to be getting Kenworths and Peterbilts, is what I was told by my representative. Now, he did say that they're not in yet, but they're looking at ordering them. The problem is Peterbilt and Kenworth has had so many issues and recalls, they can't keep up with their orders. Another friend that we have, I say we, me and my partner, Poppy, another friend that we had bought a brand new Peterbilt from the factory or from the dealership, and he didn't buy it through the general ways that we do through SFI. He went to the dealership and bought his own, and he's had nothing but issues and problems with his. So they just can't keep up with the warranties and the issues they have with it. Caesar says, "Does your CC really plays a big role, or are you able to book a week in advance?" This is my 5th week here, also from Northern Florida. Yeah, I'm from Melbourne areas where I'm from. Yeah, I stay booked at least a week out most of the time, at least 3 or 4 days, if not a week out. I try to anyways, because if you don't, um, you have the tendency of things to cancel. Also, when you book these loads, make sure, that they're, you kind of figure it out, going which companies don't, cancel a lot. Not going to put any names of any companies out there, but there are certain companies out there that seem to want to cancel their loads a little bit more than others. Jacob said Pete's baby. Yeah, I hear you. Peterbilts are nice, but they do have a lot of issues and problems. It's a Packard thing, and it's honestly it's been like that for some time. I mean, I remember the Kenworths that we had when we were at FedEx. They had nothing but problems out of those, and honestly, most of the problems are the Packard motors, not the Cummins. Um, that's one of the reasons when I had the Peterbilt at Christensen, I was glad that I got one with the Cummins because the Packard motors are just they say great fuel mileage and all that, but they're a technical nightmare with their wiring. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that mine had a Cummins. Rich Keegan, mile per gallon on the truck. Now, I'm going to tell you what my mile per gallon is, but it's going to be a little bit different because with the things that I do, I've got to hustle the route that I run with the way that I do things. I mean, I'm cruising 70, 75 almost all the time. So my fuel mileage takes a hit. Now, granted, most of the loads that I do carry are very light, somewhere, 10,000 pounds. With my mile per gallon, it's anywhere between 9 to 10 miles per gallon, even at 70, 75. Now, if for some reason I get a load in there that's like the last load I had was 38,000 pounds, which is probably the heaviest load I've taken since I've been over here at JB Hunt. That load there got my fuel miles down to 8.1, but I'm still getting 8.1 miles a gallon, hauling 38,000 pounds at 70, 75 miles an hour. Not too shabby for a Cummins and, the situation. My wife says, do you believe ELD new mandates make drivers safer? I believe so. Drivers know what their capabilities are. A lot of drivers always had that, and these mandates. I know you're going back, but these mandates have been in place for years. I think they redid everything around 19 or 20, and the only thing that the government does, and again, there's a lot of guys that take advantage of it, but the government gets in and steps in. I think there's too much government mandate on these. A driver should know when he is tired, when he needs to stop. Not all drivers do it, but a driver needs to know. Like me, I know when it's my time to stop. It doesn't take a clock to tell me after 11 hours, hey, it's time to stop. If I drive for 6 hours and I just don't feel it that day, if I can make my delivery and there's no issues, I'll stop and if need to be, I'll stop for the day. If not, take a nap. Um, but honestly, I think it does make most drivers safer because they know their limits of what they can and can't do. Caesar, are you don't like to run with JB as far as dead zones, trying to learn from old timers. So I'm an old timer. I get it, man. I get it. My running area is pretty simple, and it's always been the same thing. My running area, I stay in the southeast. I know a lot of the loads don't pay as well in the southeast, but I try to stay below Kentucky, Tennessee area. I don't run anywhere west of I-35, which is basically Houston all the way up to Minneapolis. I stay on that east side of the country, and honestly, I don't like going above I-40. Now, there are some times when I will go above I-40 because I-40 is basically Memphis, Nashville, Charlotte. I'll be driving 40 tomorrow, as a matter of fact, going to Charlotte. But I try to stay in that area and in the Midwest. I don't mind going to the Chicago area. I don't mind going to Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio. But when you get into Pennsylvania and some of those eastern states, I try not to go over there very often. I hope that helps, your question there, Caesar, but that's what I try to do. Wendy's or McDonald's? Neither, Jacob, neither. My go-to is always Chick-fil-A. If I can find a Chick-fil-A close by, I go to Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's or one of those type places. I'm more of a chicken guy, but I don't. Wendy's, I mean, they got a pretty decent spicy chicken, but I'm not a McDonald's fan by any means. I try to avoid McDonald's as much as possible. The only thing that McDonald's has, and it's always perfect, is their Diet Cokes. Their Diet Cokes, because they're pre-mixed from the factory. It's the only place that I know of that has pre-mixed Cokes and Diet Cokes. Their Diet Cokes are on par. If you're a Coke drinker, they're on par because they're always pre-mixed. You can go to any McDonald's in the country and they're always going to taste the same. I've never had a bad soda from McDonald's. My wife or she. Well, yeah, there's a lot of female drivers out there. I know what you were trying to say there. Yeah, I'm seeing more and more women drivers out there, and I've said this before. I'm seeing a lot more drivers out there that don't speak English. I've been doing this off and on for close to 20 years, and I have never in my life seen more people with rattier trucks and they don't speak English. All right, I got Life on 18 Wheels here. Hold on just a second, guys. We're gonna connect him in. It's about time. Can you hear me?
I heard you talking shit about me back there earlier, man.
Watch your language, man. This is a good show here, man. You gotta
Yeah,
be
I
on your
got you. I
best
got
behavior.
you. I
What
got you,
takes you
man. I
so
got you, man.
long, man? Huh?
My
You're like
my
a
my audio
you're like a
wasn't
woman,
working.
man.
My audio wasn't working. I had to redo stuff, just to
You hear
get
me
it
okay?
up here. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you pretty good.
I don't know why you're not coming out on my headset here. That's weird. Huh, interesting. Anyway, so I got Life on 18 Wheels. We're going to try and do something a little bit different here. We got 12 people in here, most we've had since. So, if you will, just go ahead and give me a little bit of history about you, man. What have you been doing besides truck driving? Where have you truck drive at? Just kind of give me a brief synopsis of what's going on.
Well, young kid, uh, early age, I started working at an amusement park. Um, that's really where I started my work history at. Worked my way up there just a little bit, and I was just smooth sailing. Uh, Came to a point where I was working 2, 3 jobs at the same time, and I got tired of doing that. So um, I decided to look into something different. And then I had a baby on the way.
Uh oh.
So that really kicked me into high gear and finding some way to provide and take care of my responsibilities. So what I ended up doing was, funny enough story, it was I was doing Uber and Lyft at the time, and I picked up a prime driver. He was a trainer and a recruiter at that time too. So I had a little conversation with him about truck driving because never in a million years I thought I wanted to be a truck driver. So, after he gave me the lowdown about it, I started doing a little research about it. And about 2017, summer of 2017, I decided to go into training. Went to Roadmaster, completed that, and I started driving at Prime Inc. I'm sorry, not Prime, Covenant Transport as a team driver. So tail end of 2017, did my training at Covenant for a little bit. Got into met some really nice people over there. Actually, one of my trainer at Covenant actually turned into be somebody to be very integral in my life, very important in my life, even till to this day. And I try to follow in his footsteps. So after I was done training with him, Covenant is majority a team type situation that's going on over there. And well, that didn't work out for me. I learned very quickly that I like to sleep in a steel truck and not a moving one. And I didn't last long there. Ended up going to Warner Enterprise just a few months in. Had another trainer over there. He's also a very integral part of my life. He's still in my life today. He helps me make sound decisions, sound choices as well too. So he's there. He's still part of my life. And I started doing Dollar General at Warner. Didn't last long doing that. I found out really quickly I don't like doing a lot of manual labor. So,
Who
uh,
does? I mean,
right,
honestly, who does like doing manual labor?
right. So instead of just quitting and finding another job, they had excellent job placement there. I ended up just doing Home Depot account for several years, and by that time I had another baby on the way, so now I needed to start thinking about what is it that I really want to do here? Do I want to stay out here all the time? Do I want to be home more often for the family, and how I can be able to do that? At that time, I started looking into doing leasing, and I actually applied for SFI back then. I just never fell through with that deal. So instead, I just stayed at Warner next couple of years, learned the ropes, learned a thing or two, and then I ended up uh, more or less getting into it with the office staff about simple stuff, and I decided that it was time for me to go. Now, my trainer at Covenant, he already left at that point, and he started working as an owner operator at another company. And so he was looking for an extra driver, and I decided I was gonna just give it a try. I wanted to do leasing, but he was like a step before leasing. Where he went to Landstar. I ended up going over there with him, and he pretty much let me just do whatever it is that I wanted to do, learn the ropes, do whatever it is that I need to do to take care of what I need to take care of. All he did was provide me a truck. He never really held my hands, did anything like that. Well, after a while, um, I wanted my own truck, and I got a little bit. I will admit, I got a little bit selfish, and the people who had my back, I kind of felt a type of way about it because I wanted to go do my own thing. I didn't want to share money with anybody. So I ended up doing one of the biggest mistakes in my life, and I ended up going to work at one of these Chicago companies for about a good 6 months. Got me a brand new 579 MX-13 engine. I was a little iffy with it, but it never broke down on me, never gave me any problems. The only problems I ever had was with dispatching. So, that felt through. They're more like, to be honest, they're more like Super Ego. If everybody know about how Super Ego works, it's kind of sort of the same. All these Chicago companies pretty much run in tandem with each other. So I ended up sitting in Las Vegas on a very hot day with no load, trying to figure out what it is that I need to do. And I decided to say, you know what, taking a look at the market, how bad everything is, where can I go that would keep me steady enough where I can be able to still make money and also not be ripped off at the same time? I applied to Swift. Never in a million years I never thought I was going to work at Swift, because I'm not going to lie, I was out here with the jokes just like everybody else. So, sitting
And we
sitting
found
back.
out, honestly, we both found out that Swift was a great company. It's
Oh,
not Swift that,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Swift did me right up to a certain point. There was some give and take with Swift, but for the most part, Swift wasn't a terrible company. So I ended up getting over to Swift. I did the MRP lease. My whole intention when I went to Swift was to get a truck, be there just long enough that I can actually make some money, and take the truck and go back to Landstar, because I had an itch for Landstar. I just loved working at Landstar. I just loved the system that they had there. I built
Still do.
relationship with agents, and I enjoyed my time there. So I wanted to be able to do that again. Well, it turned out the MRP is not like the straight lease, and I couldn't take the truck. So I was like, okay, well, I'm a year in, got 2 years left on this lease. Let me see what else that I can do. I started doing containers. They allowed me to do containers. I did a couple of reefer loads while I was at Swift, which was pretty nice. But what I really wanted to do at Swift was flatbed. And they would not let me do flatbed with the truck that I had, which was kind of funny because they had a lot of standard cabs running flatbed loads, and I didn't see what was the issue. First they was talking about frame length issue or whatever, but like I said, a lot of standard length with standard frame were pulling flatbed. I didn't see an issue with it. Well, since I couldn't end up doing that, and I tried over and over, try to get on the flatbed account, do stuff with flatbed, didn't work out. Some stuff happened in between there where it allowed me to actually get to the next level and push me to get back to where I really wanted to be at. So around that time, this is when I met you, And we got to talking a little bit, and you started doing your training stuff, and we would, chop it up every day, and we'll come up with ideas and all this stuff and whatnot. And then that's when you decided that you were going to leave, and you were going to go to Schneider and lease an FSI truck. And I thought you was bonkers. I thought you was crazy. The payments was high as hell. We in a very bad market. But I sat there and I said, let me see what you're doing over there first before I make a jump, because you were trying to convince me to come over there right there behind you. So,
But
it
it
was like
took you 2 weeks. I mean, that wasn't long enough.
it was
Two
long.
weeks.
There were certain things that played a part in me going
Yeah.
over to SFI, not just you trying to convince me. And I ended up just going right along with it. And I went over there to Schneider, leased an FSI truck, brand new 2024. I thought I was freaking crazy with these high ass payments, but I thought, you know what? There's a plan in place. I'm going to get there. I just need to thug it out just a little bit more. And I thought I was going to have to sit at Schneider for another 6 months, which I didn't mind doing. The problem just ended up being that they have a crappy load board. And it was just terrible trying to find freight, book freight, trying to move here, move there. I felt like I was just ended up back in the same in one of these situations that I had just left with Swift. But luckily, after talking to my SFI rep, finding out about a few certain things, finding about cost of moving the truck and all this stuff, it landed perfectly. When I tell you God moved mountains for me, I really appreciate everything that he has done for me, because up until this point, I just thought it was going to take me forever to get back where I wanted to be at Landstar. Like I said, I know how the freight works. I know how the agents work over here. I build relationships with them. I just wanted to be here. I know that I can make it back to Landstar. So instead of waiting 6 months, it only took 2 months for me to get back to get my foot back into the door where I
I had
wanted
to
to be
push you towards it though too. I had to
at.
beg you and push you. I told you it was going to be a good
Listen,
thing.
sometimes it's just it comes to a point where, yes, other people can tell me stuff, but I also have to I have to weigh my pros and my cons and see where I'm at, not only with business but also in life, in order to move on to the next level. You get what I'm saying? So after all that, sitting at home. I actually sat at home for a good 3 weeks waiting for Landstar to come back to me. And I was actually getting ready to give up and join you over there at JB Hunt. But things worked out the way they worked out, and I got my butt over here, and here I am now. I'm just happy to be back here. I'm just learning back the ropes, and soon from now I'll be back on my feet like I never left. So
Let me get some of these questions out of the way here. Um, First of all, Country has his own channel. If you would, Country, post your YouTube channel up here so people know where to go to. He's got a channel. I've been following him for quite some time. He went to SFI and Snyder about 2 or 3 weeks before I did, so I've been following for about 6 7 months, and he's another good guy. He's got a great channel.
uh-huh.
Again, Country man, I got to get with you and find out where. Every video he does, he has this little background music that's playing while he's talking.
Funny thing about it is,
I
like,
love that.
every minute you're like, hey, have you watched Country's video? I was like,
Yep.
no, I haven't watched the video. Who's that guy? And he was like, oh, that's guy, he's buddies with such and such. And I'm like, yeah, I still haven't watched it. I still don't know who he is. So I'm like, maybe if I get a link later on, I'll probably be able to watch his videos. But every
He said,
single
"No,
time
I'm
you
not
call
here
me and
to."
talk about it,
He said he's not here to self promote. Well, I told you to. I want you to promote your channel because I want people. That's the whole purpose of my channel, is to put stuff out there for people to have other things to look at and watch. And I don't know if you've noticed it too. And I'm going to get to these questions here in just a second. But I don't know if you've noticed too. But a lot of these YouTubers, they come and go. They don't stay for long. And I'm kind of a guilty one on that too. I'll do a video, then I'll take off for a couple weeks or a month or whatever. But I'm trying to get better at it. What people don't understand, some of these YouTubers that put out their stuff, and you can attest to this, it's very difficult to drive and then put video content together. And
Absolutely.
your content is a lot more edited than mine is. All my content is pretty much one shot. I'm going to try and get better. I'm going to get better equipment to do some editing and some of the other videos and stuff. But it's a chore to put entertaining stuff out here that people want to watch. And I'm still trying to figure out, you know, like I said earlier in the video, the video I put out on Sunday has over 1,000 views. It's probably closer to 2,000 views just on my 1 month review of JB Hunt. I don't, we got to figure out what people, want. It's very difficult. So some of these questions here, and this is totally up to you, Life on 18 Wheels, but Jacob
Uh,
asked, who's making more money, James or Life on 18 Wheels? Well, he talks to me on a regular basis. I talk to him at least 2 or 3 times a week. So he knows the money that I'm making. And I only go over gross numbers. I don't go over the other numbers unless somebody
uh-huh.
wants to call me on the phone and we can discuss it. But last week, 5,700. This week that I'm doing right now, as long as everything stays together, which I'm on load number 3 of 4. I only have one more load after this. I'm going to be at 5,900 for the week. I don't see either. Well, the load that I have now, I'm already hooked to, so it's not going to cancel. My fourth load is a Walmart load, so I don't see. Whoops, I said a name that I said I wasn't going to, but Walmart, they don't usually cancel either because they always get their stuff. So to answer your question, I mean, it's up to you, Life on 18 Wheels, if you want to tell him how well you've been doing for the last couple of weeks.
Well, well, for the most part, the last couple of weeks, I've been sitting at home. I only left orientation, a week, almost 2 weeks ago, and I've only had one paycheck. And if we're talking in terms of gross, I only did 2 loads for that week, and I only grossed $7,000.
That's pretty good. I honestly, I think in the long run, I think you're going to end up making more money than what I do. Uh, but you got to work a little bit harder for the money that you get than what I do. My stuff is completely different. I mean, you got to negotiate with the brokers. There's a lot of things that you do too that I don't have. Like you got a trailer rental fee that I don't have.
No, I
And
don't pay a trailer rental fee.
oh, you don't? I thought
No.
last start you did.
All dry vans, we don't dry van drivers do not pay for a trailer
Okay.
rental fee.
Okay. Well, see, this
And
is
we
this
don't
is
pay
why I
for
like getting
repairs
people
on the
on.
trailers either.
This is why I like getting people on to get those rumors and everything out there that everybody seems to think. I honestly thought that, but there are some incidental stuff that you do that I don't do. Like I don't have to negotiate my rates and all that. I like the easiness for what I do, and the routes that I take. It's easier for me to get home. You're still trying to figure out your home routes and way things are.
Well, you
Um,
see, the way that I like to run, I don't necessarily like to run back home. We live in Florida, so it's pretty much trash no matter what company you work for. So getting back home is really not a problem here at Landstar at all because 99% of all the loads that I look on the load board goes back to Florida, and they pay pretty well. Leaving out the house is a different story. You get what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
And again,
same
it's
issues
not
that I have.
to me, booking freight with agents is to me it's not a chore. I actually enjoy it. It's actually a fun part of what I do instead of just sitting with the one click. Yeah, that gets boring pretty fast, but it over here it allows me to build relationships with agents. And in time in the future, like I said, I already have relationships built before. If I don't want to look at the load board, if I don't want to just do anything and just call my buddy up, because I literally just call him on the phone. I have his personal number and just say, hey, I'm here, you can see me in the system. Can you just find me a logo somewhere? I can do that as well too. I don't have to look at the load board if I don't want to. And another misconception that I've been hearing a lot is that since freight's so tough, it's very hard to make it over here. And again, that's far from the truth. If you're just looking at the load board and all you're picking is loads off the load board, you're gonna have a tough time.
Yeah, I agree. So the next question, and you hit that dead on the button too with Florida. It's tough getting out of Florida. Coming into Florida, it's not hard at all. Um, what's the best job you've ever had so far as a truck driver? That's another Jacob question.
Well, the best job I ever had was, being able to do my own thing, being able to run where I want to run, uh, just be able to just chill when I want to chill, and that's being here at Landstar. Now, it was fun leasing at these other companies beforehand, but I didn't have the level of freedom slash consequences, because with more freedom there's more consequences as well too, but I didn't have that level of freedom at Swift, and I didn't necessarily have that freedom at SFI as well either.
Gotcha. So Jacob asked another question too. He said, "What kind of fuel discounts are you getting at Landstar?"
Landstar has one of the best fuel discounts in the business, and it's pretty decent. I'll tell you what, James, when I was at Swift and even when I was at Schneider, for the most part, I always used my ES Advantage fuel card. And I was getting a whopping deal on the fuel using that card as well too. And it was saving me money since I wasn't using the company fuel card. I came over here, all the money that I had on my ES Advantage card was just point mute because I couldn't match the discount that I was getting here at Landstar.
Right. So it's funny that you say that. My wife texted me just a minute ago and asked me if I got a shower for the first time in probably 7 years. That ES Advantage card. I don't have my Love's credits to get a shower. I've always, kept that card up. But since, same thing as you, we get great fuel discounts at JB Hunt. I've been using their card. So I'm a Pilot Flying J guy now because that's where I get most of my fuel at. And that's where my discounts and my shot credits are. I parked at a TA Express where I'm at, and there's a Pilot next door, but they've only got like maybe 15 truck spots. I was going to park over there, but I didn't. I know I'm gonna be leaving early in the morning. And you know how it is when you leave one of these smaller truck stops, you get
Hmm.
some of these guys in here that don't know how to drive, and you get a hood mirror taken off or something. This TA was big, and there's hardly anybody over here. I was gonna walk over and take a shower before we did our live show. Well, guess what? This one's a Pilot, like a I forget what they call them, not a 1.9, but kind of one of those family pilots. Well, they
Uh-huh.
don't have any showers here. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm not going to pay $21 for a shower at the TA because that's what they charge for a shower here. I think it's ridiculous to have to pay for showers when you're a truck driver. That's just one of the things. And I understand it's all about business and they have to make money, but they should, anywhere you stop and you spend money at, whether it be food or drinks, again, they should be able to give you a shower.
So
I, I just I never understood that.
you can't use your fuel card and get fuel at the TA.
I can, but all my points are at Pilot Flying J. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I don't do any shopping at the TA or Petros usually. I just happen to be here because it was next door. I try to
Uh-huh.
always find a Pilot Flying J because that's where my points are at. I didn't get any fuel last month on the ES card. You know how it is. If you don't get any fuel, then you lose, your diamonds, or not diamond, but platinum status. So I don't have my platinum status. It doesn't matter. There's not a Love's around here anyways where I'm at. So um, the next thing on here, Country said if it wasn't for that hazmat endorsement, he would have already been to Landstar, or definitely would have been to Landstar.
Well, I'll tell you what. You do have to have your hazmat endorsement, but you don't ever have to haul any hazmat loads. Like I said, it's all up to you. There's no hand holding here. You just got to just have the hazmat endorsement. If you choose not to haul them, that's your prerogative. Funny enough, the first load that I got since I got back here was a hazmat load, paying pretty good actually leaving out of Florida. Well over $2-3 a mile. And I went straight up to Wisconsin, no, Minnesota for
I remember that.
yeah, about like $3,500, give or take. Yeah. I don't do math well, but I know how much I got paid. I got paid $3,500 to go from Clearwater up to basically the west side of was it Minneapolis or Minnesota? Somewhere up there. All I know
Right.
is I got paid $3,500 to take my butt out of Florida, which is hard to come by in it by itself. So
Gotcha. So Jacob asked, how did you prepare yourself for the hazmat endorsement, and was it easy to pass?
Um, I didn't study. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not study. It was like a couple days. I got home, couple days. I just, download the CDL prep app or one of those apps, and I just went over it because I already had my appointment for the next day. So just, a couple hours, I'll just go through the app, and I forgot which one it was, but it it lets you keep doing the test over and over again, and it gives you a likelihood of passing. When I had like 100%, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to DMV. I'm sitting waiting for my appointment at DMV. I'm sitting there just doing the test on the phone again, just making sure. I get the test.
Hold on a
I go.
second. Hey, country, don't start the application process. Wait for me, and I'll send you the link and the person to contact, because if you do, they give you like 25 or $50 because you know me on your first fill up. So don't do anything to it yet. After the show, I'll get with you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I saw
No,
he was
you good.
applying
You
for it.
good. Um.
Because you know how it is, because they give you money when you get referred, and then I get
Oh,
money too. So
absolutely,
both of us do.
absolutely. You should definitely take advantage of that. It definitely comes in how it definitely comes in handy. But yeah, I didn't do anything but wing it. Funny thing is, I already had my hazmat when I first went to Landstar, and I let it lapse while I was at Swift. So I didn't have to do the ELDT training because I was already grandfathered in. So all I had to do was just go take the test again. I didn't have to pay those crazy fees to go do that little, the little stupid class or whatever they call it. So
Right. Yep. So the next thing Country said, I know I don't have to haul hazmat, but I also don't want to go through the steps of getting that endorsement. Yeah, getting the endorsement is kind of a pain in the ass. I went through the process too a few years ago, and I never followed up with it because I never saw myself using it. He says maybe I'll change my mind on that though.
yeah, it's
Uh,
not like I said, it just going to the DMV, maybe your state, I don't know if your state does it or not, but trying to schedule an appointment and then having to make sure that you're home at that time to get it done, and then just doing fingerprints. And I mean, all you gotta do is spend a couple hours on the app, and you'll get it down packed. Just the annoying part is just going to the DMV, doing your fingerprint, and then sitting and waiting for them to send your hazmat stuff in the mail. So
yeah. So we're at 47, almost 48 minutes. I know people are starting to kind of lose you. You still there?
yeah, I think we
I
lost
hit the
you.
wrong button there. I hit the wrong button. I kind of put myself out there. I was trying to, again, people text me when they know that I'm live. I'm still getting texts from everybody. And when I hit the button, obviously it makes the text go up and I lose you guys. But I never understood, when you tell people you're going live, but they still want to contact you through text.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's funny because I do a lot of YouTube watching, I do a lot of YouTube listening, and Cassius King is one of the funniest guys that I think I've ever seen. Him and James Best was always funny too, but his is
He's
a little
got
bit
really good
different.
info.
He's
Cassius
got
King,
good info too, but
he's got really good info.
Cassius King, when he does his lives, he gets it's funny because it's always the same people that text him, and he gets so frustrated like I do, and people don't understand. When you do all that stuff, it's it messes up your rhythm on what you got going on. So I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I need to turn my phone on maybe airplane mode when I do this, or maybe do not disturb or something. But yeah, you got anything you want to add to it? We're almost into 50 minutes here. Anything you want to add? You want to plug your channel? Go, speaking of which, go ahead and plug your channel on the comments down there if you know how to
Yep,
do it.
my channel, Life on 18 Wheels. I also have a second channel that I've been struggling to get up there, but it's more of a little more intense type thing. The Shiny Side Up. It's geared to more doing more interviews and reviews and stuff. That's what I want to work on over there. The Life on 18 Wheels, that's just a day-to-day thing. It also shows me doing light work on the truck, things that we can do without requiring you going to a dealership or a shop to take care of. The whole point of my Life on 18 Wheels channel is not just to show my everyday life of what I'm doing, but also to like a slight education type thing, just showing people, hey, you could sit at the shop for 8 hours for a stupid little sensor, or I can just show you how to change it, or you can pay, you know, out the butt to change your shocks, or you can just watch one of my previous videos of me changing all the shocks out on a leash truck, on a Swift truck. It wasn't that hard, wasn't that terrible. You do have to invest in some tools, but other than that, it's like invest in yourself, and that's how you make money, instead of spending money. Leave the
Yeah.
big stuff to the shops, and the little things, you know, little things that get you caught up on the side of the road can be so much difficult if you just know how to, take care of it.
It's funny that you brought up both of your channels. I think I did your first podcast on your Shiny Side Up, didn't I? When
And
we
the
first
only
got
one that I still have on there.
well,
Funny enough, just like you were explaining earlier, it's creating content is not hard. Producing it is very time consuming.
yeah.
Because I like for example, with my Life on 18 Wheels video, I usually try to stay around the 10-15 minute mark. And that usually takes, with editing and processing and all that stuff, it takes like 8 hours just by itself. And that's before you even pick the videos out and try to cut them up and then stitch them all together. So, and on top of that, after driving, all day, and you just want to lay down, take a shower, and just eat,
That's
you
right.
end up just falling asleep before you even click. Because almost every day it's the same thing for me. I'll wake up and like, man, I forgot to go ahead and make a video. I have so
Well,
much content that I need to just put it on the computer and just get to work.
a couple things that I always thought was funny about you, and off to the side of that a little bit. These people that are on here that are watching, like Country and my buddy Jacob, these are the people that you need on your podcast. Country would be a great guy to get on your podcast and just have a sit down with and talk to if you could ever catch
Mhm.
up with him. Jacob, another good guy. He's a younger guy in this business. I think Jacob's 26, 27, 28, something like that. Young
Uh-huh.
guy getting into it just like you are. He'd be another good one. But the thing that I was going to go about when me and you first met, you always, that's like, why don't you ever put your face on your videos? Because your videos on the Life on 18 Wheels channel is kind of comical because you put these little voiceovers and stuff in there, whoops, and all these little things that you do and these little quirky things that you do, but you never show your face. And
Yeah, I'm camera
honestly,
shy,
tonight
man.
when you weren't coming on the channel, I kind of thought maybe you didn't want to show your face, and I'm like,
No,
man,
no, no,
just tell
that
me the
wasn't
truth,
it.
you
I
don't want
was
to show
just
your
waiting.
face.
Listen. I didn't want to listen. I wanted to come out here, and I want to come out with a little bit of my gun swinging, and I
Yep.
wanted to make sure that I had my camera set up right and had my audio set up right. You see how your wife is commending me in the comments
Yeah.
about my audio and stuff. I didn't want to come on here, with no rinky dinky audio, and I was
That's why
having
I told you to
trouble.
stop an hour beforehand to get your stuff set up
I
instead of
did.
5 minutes till.
I did stop an hour before, and I was hungry at the same time. So I'm over here trying to set up the
You're
camera,
always eating,
set up the
man.
mic. It's only like 10 minutes ago I figured out how to get the camera to work with the laptop. 'Cause my laptop's down here, and I have a camera right up top, and I have my
Uh,
audio, and all that stuff is just integrated. And it only took me like 10-15 minutes how to figure all this stuff out, but my audio was just not working. And lo
uh,
and behold, all I had to do was just refresh the link and everything was working fine. So that's
well,
that's that's what ended up
I
happening.
can I can see myself going shopping here real soon to getting some more equipment, and when I do, I'm going to take you with me so we can get the right stuff. You're going to help me hook up the stuff in my truck the right way, and
The
I
most
agree
the
with my
most of the
wife
stuff that I
100%.
have, the most of the stuff I have was I just bought them on Amazon. I'll just send you the link to them.
Yeah. Well, I agree with my wife. You know, your mic sounds really good. She said you're a great guest tonight, and she
Yeah.
says thank you.
Well,
I
I got a
agree a
little
thousand percent.
semi-professional setup here. I got my old audio going through this little thing, got a little professional mic. So, like I said, it's my first live, and I wanted to make sure that I was coming out here and be able to produce some quality audio and some good content as well too. I didn't want to just come out here with some rinky dink, phone stuff and you know
Well,
not
I
give you a good
appreciate it.
show.
I really do. I appreciate it. I think it's been a great show. Um, Anybody else have any questions? We're down to 11 people. We were at like 14 people at one time. So I think this video is going to get a lot of views. Um, I saw that Midlife Trucker started a live. He usually gets 50 to 100 people in on his. He just started a live right as we did. So there's a few people that went live tonight. And that's another thing too. When you veer off of your time, like my time is 8 o'clock on Tuesday. I try to do times where nobody else is going live, and that way, hopefully I can catch some people in. So we're gonna go back to Tuesday for next week, and I'll get you back on the channel again, man. This has been a pleasant
I'll be back. I
conversation.
don't mind coming on. Like I
I
said,
want
I'm a little camera shy, but this was a
no,
big
I
confidence
don't see it
boost
at
right
all. I
here,
don't
man.
think your camera shot. No, I don't see it at all, brother. And
I
another
haven't
thing
looked at
too,
the camera since we've been on. I haven't looked at the camera that much since we've been on the live. So
I really wanted to bring you on a couple more weeks. Give you a good month or so with Landstar and see how things were going. I didn't really want to bring you in on your third or fourth week where we're at, but you know what? Sometimes things happen. So I got to get a
mhm.
guest for next week. Jacob, you're willing to come in next week, then you're coming on. We're going to make plans on that. I think Jacob's going to be another good one. He speaks well. He's young. I like talking to you young guys and getting you in on your perspective on everything and how
Yeah,
you
young
run in your
guy.
business. Now, I'm going to warn you, Jacob's business, the way he's set his stuff up, he's done well for himself. He's stayed with the Christensen deal. That's where I met him at was Christensen. We started basically the
Hmm.
same day, and he stuck with it. And he's geared himself up to something good. He's starting to get decent loads. And again, excuse me. Again, what he does is completely different than what me and you do. He's on a mile per a mile per basis, where we're as more of a percentage and what the cost of the load is.
Hmm.
And we're dispatching ourselves, whereas he's got a dispatcher that pretty much sends him the load. Now he has the control to turn his stuff down if he doesn't want to do it, but still, I prefer doing this. And quite frankly, it's just like anything. Once you
Likewise.
start doing this, you're never going to want to go back to a dispatch model.
Like I said, I had the itch before I had the dispatching, and so I had to go
Yeah,
back to what I know, what I appreciated. So
yeah,
there's pros and cons to all of it and all that stuff, but the dispatching thing is just not something that work. I don't mind it as a mix in, but it's something that just doesn't work solely for me. But
right. I had a friend call me today, as a matter of fact, and again, I'm very comfortable. It always is about the money. That's something. That's one of my common things that I always say. And if people tell you it's not about the money, then they're lying to you. It's always about the money, but at the same time, it's not always about all the money. Like I had a friend call me today and asked me, says, "Why are you wasting your time at JB Hunt? The rates are going up right now." He said, "I'm looking on the load board. I'm seeing stuff at 3, 4, and even $5 a mile." Well, my comment to him was, I said, "Well, how many miles, are those loads?" And he said, "Well, I mean, it just depends." I said, "Exactly." So you know it just as well as I do. Usually those high dollar loads that pay that much usually are only 100, 200 miles. Well, guess what? When you do the math on that, you do 3 or 4 of those in a week, because that's honestly about 4 loads is all you can really do once you deal with the shippers, the receivers. And his deal is
Hmm.
strictly, live load, live unload, everything that he would do. Well, you know that because you do a lot of live loads, live unloads, they take up time. And unless it makes sense
Absolutely.
with the miles, you're only going to make, you know, maybe $2,000-3,000 a week because you just don't have the time. When you do dropping hooks like what I do with the miles, you can get more stuff done and they're longer miles, and the money's there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get
But
what
he
you're saying.
he was asking me. I'm like, well, that's one thing. The second thing is, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing and I like it. I mean, it doesn't get any easier doing what I'm doing. It's pretty much feeding a baby with a bottle, man. It's not hard at all with what I do. And that's what I like about it. I know a lot of guys at JB Hunt are struggling right now. And the only thing that I can tell the guys that are struggling is just keep looking at the load board, try to figure out a route that basically, goes to where you want to go and then comes find you something that comes back. Find something on a regular basis. Quit taking loads that, one day they go here and then you might miss the day they go back. Try to find you a triangle or a square or something to go out. Kind of like what my buddy Chris has done. And that's why I'm into what he's doing. He's set me up to pretty much the same triangle, square, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
as he has. And that's key. Once you get that and you get regular routes, and if you can get these loads on a regular basis where nobody gets them, that's where it's at.
Yeah, and
Where it's at.
another key to being successful, especially in a market like this, is um, it's very hard, but it's not impossible
Right.
to have some consistency. But building relationships with, well, like I said, on my end, building relationships with agents, and because we do have a lot of direct freight out here, so there's there's a lot of dropping hooks as well too. But building a relationship with your agents, or building a relationship with the shipper, on your end, it can help reduce some of that headache that we normally get in this industry.
So Jacob made a couple more comments. He said, "If I can make $5,000 a week net, then I would be happy." Well, you know what? I don't think you really. The net is what you bring home. If we could all make $5,000 a week net, I think we would all be happy, Jacob. But I think you
Absolutely.
mean gross is what you mean. $5,000 gross. I mean, it's very attainable. It's hard to do at Christensen because you're on a mileage basis, and unfortunately, the mileage basis doesn't match up to the $5,000. I mean, it'd be totally impossible to do $6,000 gross where you're at Christensen. 5,000, it's attainable, but it's a very hard reach just because you can only drive so many miles in a week, and your dispatcher can only get you so many miles a week. Now, gross,
Hmm.
that's a different story. And he says, I mean net. I know we all mean that. I wish I could make $5,000 net. That would be great. I'd be taking $5,000 home. That means you're going to be grossing 10,000 bucks or more. Because that's your number where you really want to be, is somewhere between, you know, 40% to 50% of what your gross is where you really should be.
And
Um,
really and truly, it's not impossible to do. It's very hard with
mhm.
the way the market is today, and it did. I have my own feelings, my own issues with being dispatched as well too, because at the end of the day, to me, it's like you're at the mercy of your
Right.
dispatcher,
You're
and
under their
whatever.
control.
Exactly, and being someone who's a lease operator or an owner operator, I I have an issue with it. I mean, I dealt with it for quite some time. It worked out for me, you know, some better than most days, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, to me, being an owner operator means choice. Not just you give me three loads and then I get to pick one of the three. That's not really a choice to me. My choice is, do I want to run today? What loads do I want to pick? Do I want to haul that? And again, with that comes a lot of consequences as well too. But I enjoy it, and it's great.
So, and Jacob, I don't know if you're asking me or if you're asking Life on 18 Wheels. He says, how much weight have you gained since you started trucking? Well, the answer to that for me is I've lost about 75 pounds since I started trucking. So I haven't
Listen,
gained
man.
anything. What about you?
I mean, I was a skinnier guy before I started driving trucks. I've been eating steaks and lobsters on the road, so
So he asked, how long until you work under your own authority? Well, I've answered that before to you, and you know my answer. I don't think I ever really want my own authority, because when you have your own authority, the only thing that happens, and honestly, I can't say never. I'll never say never, but I don't think I ever want to do my own authority, because your insurance, all your bottom line stuff just doubles, triples, quadruples. in price. Your insurance goes up because you're responsible for everything. You're a true total owner operator when you do that. I would rather run under somebody else's authority. And I always refer back to Cassius King. Cassius King did a video a long time ago, and I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
he still has it on his YouTube channel, but he did one on that, and he actually runs under authority of another company too, but he owns his property, he owns his truck, and he leases the trailer. At least I think he leases the trailer. But when you get a smart guy like him that's been doing it for a long time, and I said this to a friend of mine the other day that wants to come into this, you try to duplicate what somebody else that's successful is doing. You try to
Mm-hmm.
duplicate what they're doing if it's working for them. And that's kind of what I've done here at JB Hunt with my buddy Chris. I'm trying to duplicate what he's doing so I can be successful like him. So if you find somebody that's doing something that's working, you try to duplicate it. It's what I'm trying to say. I know I've repeated myself a couple times there, but um,
Right. And
I
another
hope that
thing
answers your
too,
question, Jacob. But you can go ahead.
yeah, another thing too about getting your own authority, it might sound nice, but you're gonna end up doing a lot more paperwork than you're actually doing trucking. I came out here because I like doing the job. I don't like paperwork at all. So would I have my own authority in the future? I don't know. But for the most part, right now, with the level of thinking that I have, it's all about risk aversion. I want to own a truck and I want to get my own loads, but I don't necessarily want to have my own authority because extra. That's just extra headache, you know. There's another channel, if you don't mind me shouting it out here. Um, it's a it's a bunch of BCOs. That's what they call them here at Landstar that run their own little small fleet with inside Landstar, and they talk about risk aversion all the time because a lot of people would always ask, why don't you get your own authority if you have X amount of trucks instead of just leasing all your trucks onto Landstar? And they go into a very great detail about what risk aversion is and what risks the carriers take on that you don't have to. Um, Again, when you have your own authority, you're paying for literally all of your insurances, all of all these small extra fees that you have to deal with. You have to pay for your own insurance for your own trailer. But when you're leased onto a carrier, a lot of that stuff is mitigated and a lot of that stuff you don't have to deal with. Like for instance, here at Landstar with the dry van, we don't have to pay for we don't pay for trailers. We don't pay to fix trailers. The only thing that they ask us to do is if it's broke, go get it fixed. And
Right.
that doesn't come out your pocket. We already know how much tires cost these days. So imagine, trailer tires are always blowing because everybody puts recaps on them instead of putting virgins. And even those recaps are not cheap as well too. You
Yeah, I
also get
agree with you.
the other one big thing with leasing on to somebody instead of getting your own authority is that some carriers name carry weight in the industry, especially with DOT. There's a lot of carriers, big and small. The DOT know them very well, and they know how they operate. They know how their drivers operate, and it kind of sort of might sound a little bit selfish, but it kind of sort of depending on what carrier you work with, you can get away with some stuff
Yeah,
if you get what I'm saying.
I agree with you. I agree with you. My wife says she's out. She's going to talk to me later. I appreciate it, darling. She said, great show, great guest. Jacob says, do they pay you the time it takes to get the trailer fixed? And I already know that answer, and that's a big no. When
That's a
you're,
big no.
yeah,
However, um, one good thing that comes out because Landstar does inspections every 4 months, give or take 180 days. I think that's 4 months, right? Uh,
you
or
say
three
90
months or
days, that's
whatever.
3 months.
No, not every 100. They
120 is 6 months.
Yeah, 120 day
Yeah.
120 days, I believe. We do inspections 4 times a year. If you start from January to December, it's 4 times a year. And you'll get some trailers that don't have that are out of Landstar's inspection, but with DOT they're still legal. Well, Landstar will tell you to go get it inspected, and they'll pay you. Like, it's not much, I forgot how much it was, but it's a little incentive to say, well, at least you go get the trailer inspected, make sure everything is fixed, and they'll pay you on your next pay for you doing that. So technically, if you really wanted to, and you know where a whole bunch of trash trailers are that needs to be inspected, just take one by one, just take them over to the shops and get them inspected and bring them back. You can actually make a killing without doing anything.
Huh. Okay. Jacob said, do they pay you more if you have your own trailer?
Yes, you do. And I believe it is at Landstar with just the truck. With If you're just bringing your own truck on, it's 65%. Bring your truck and your trailer, it's 72. I believe with if you bring a flatbed, it's a little bit more. I think 73 or something like that. Reefer is 75%. And but funny thing I learned is that if you have a straight truck, those guys that do those expedited loads, they they only get the 65%, just like everybody else. No, actually, no, scratch 60%.
You asked me earlier how long we were going to go live, and I told you, I said, yeah, probably about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Here we are at almost an hour and 15 minutes, and people are still asking questions. Now, we're down to 6 people here. We're probably going to cut it here in a little bit, but Jacob, I think you're the only one here left asking questions. Country, anybody that's still here that wants any questions asked, go ahead and ask them. We're going to probably cut this short here real quick, down to 5 people. So people are getting off. If you got any questions, if there's anything you want to add, Life on 18 Wheels, by all means. I've said that a couple of times now, but whatever you want to add.
Just check out my channel. I know I haven't posted in a minute, but I promise I do have content. It's just whenever I get to doing them. Probably when I get as I get into the groove here, I won't be running as hard as I need to make the same amount of money. So that'll free up some time for me to post more content. So check out my channel, Life on 18 Wheels, and eventually I'll get to the Shiny Side Up content. I just need to find some people to do interviews with. That's all.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Any of you guys, OTR Vic, if you're still on here, Country, anybody, reach out to me if you want to come on the channel or if you want to go on Life on 18 Wheels podcast or his channel. I think he's limited mostly to his podcast, but whatever you want, if anybody wants to contact me, we can get everybody together. That's what this trucking YouTube stuff's all about, is putting each other in touch with everybody. That's pretty much how I got in contact with Country. I contacted KO, does his videos. Kendall Oliver, he does his videos, and that's how I got in contact with Country, because I told him, tell Country to give me a call, man. I got some stuff for him, and within a day I was talking to Country. So that's what it's all about, guys. Man, is just talking to your fellow truckers and YouTubers. This YouTube thing, never in a million years would I ever thought that I would have did a YouTube channel over a year ago, and here I am, a year and I don't know, 3 months into it, almost excuse me, almost 800, and I think 850 something subscribers. I never thought that I would be at that point. I want to get you up there too, Life on 18 Wheels. I know you're struggling to get people out there, but you got to put some content out. And again, we had this conversation. It's hard, it's difficult, and
It
it's a
is,
it's a
but
challenge to get stuff out
slow and
there.
steady as the snail goes. I'm just
Yep.
grateful for what I already have, so can't really complain much.
Yeah. All right, guys. I guess this is going to be it, man. We'll get out for now. And any questions, always email me. You can email me at iamtheflyrabbit@gmail.com. That's my email. And you put your email out if you want there, bud. If you have one.
Well, I don't have one yet for the
Okay.
for the
That's fine.
YouTubes, but you can check me. You can check me out on Instagram, Life on 18 Wheels, TikTok, Life on 18 Wheels, on X, formerly known as Twitter, is Life on 18 Wheels, and on Facebook at Life on 18 Wheels.
He you also, when you try to find his channel, there's another Life on 18 Wheels on there too. Make sure you put all the words
All
together.
one word. All
All
one
one
word.
word.
Yep.
Or you're going to get the other guy. I don't know much. I don't know anything about the other guy, but unfortunately, I'm subscribed to him, and I don't even know who he is. But anyway, make sure you get the right one. Um, Jacob said, "Stay in between the mustard and the mayonnaise." I don't think I've ever heard it called that before. Have you?
Yeah. No, I don't like mustard.
I
So
don't like
no,
mustard
I
or
don't know.
mayonnaise, but I've heard the shiny side up before, like your podcast, but I don't think I've ever heard the mustard and the mayonnaise. But you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately, Jacob is a child of special needs, so he comes up with some crazy stuff. I'm sure he got a good laugh out of that right now. Jacob, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I gave you a wrench. You're a moderator too, so you can attack people on my channel if need to be. All right, guys, I'll end the stream. Everybody have a good night. Be safe. Do the good things that we do. Keep freight on time. Have a good one. Life on 18 Wheels.
All right, man. Everybody have a good evening.
All right. Bye.
Bye.